Is it focused on me? I don't know. I put some press-on nails on. So that's what these are. Hey everyone, welcome back to Rennie Beauty. For those of you who are new here, welcome. I'm Lauren, this is my channel, and today we are going to be doing a little tutorial. You really have to be kneading right now? I'm trying to film a video. Today I wanted to give you guys a really easy but in-depth tutorial on how to perfectly blend your eyeshadow so that it looks amazing every time. The tricks that I'm going to show you, you can use with literally any colors that you want. So if you wanted to do a purple look, all you would need to find is the purple that you want to go for and a lighter version of that color, or a green that you wanted to go for and a lighter version of that color. You can literally do this with any color eyeshadow. But for the purpose of today's video being an easy tutorial, I'm going to be using some neutral tones to create this look right here. And I'll be showing you guys step by step how to do that. So if you struggle in this area, or you just want to see my personal techniques on how I blend my eyeshadow together, then keep watching. So as you can see, most of my makeup is already done. All we're going to be doing today is a little eye tutorial, and if you wanted to see a full tutorial on how I do my makeup, you can actually check out my first video. So let's get right to it. So I scooched in a little closer here. So the first thing you always want to do is prime your eyelid. This is a really important step, and you can use whichever product you prefer. For myself, I prefer to use a concealer just because I find that I have really thin skin on my eyes and it shows my veins underneath and my discoloration. So I like to use a concealer just to cover that up. But if you have oily eyelids, or you just find that eyeshadow just doesn't like to stick, then you might need to use an eyeshadow primer. But for this video, I'm going to be using a concealer. So I have the concealer here on my hands, and I'm just going to apply it to my eyelids. And I'm not going to apply too much, just to give a nice even base over my lid. So as you can see, I went right up to my brow bone, and I just basically went right under where I felt in my eyebrow. So now all the way from my lash line to my brow bone is all evened out in color. And I'm just gonna do the other side. So you just wanna make sure that you go right into the inner corners to make sure that you get any discoloration. The thing about concealer is that it is going to crease up on you, so it is a really important step to set your concealer on your eyes completely so that it doesn't crease. So the next thing you need to do is grab your eyeshadow palette. So today I'm going to be using a really simple eyeshadow palette that has literally every color you would need. So we have the Smashbox palette. So make sure that your concealer or whatever you put on your eyelid is not creased up in your creases. So make sure it's nice and blended out before you go into this next step. So you're going to take a fluffy blending brush. So you're gonna need a brush that is nice and fluffy to do this. And you're going to take a color that is close to or a little bit lighter than your skin tone and go all over the lid, all the way up to the brow bone, basically everywhere that you put the lid primer or the concealer. So in this palette here, we have two shades that are quite light. One is a little bit more yellow and one is a little bit more pink. So I'm actually just gonna go back and forth between the two of them and just getting a nice amount over my entire brush. And I'm going to apply it all over my eyelid. So now my concealer is set on my eyelid, and I can go ahead and put eyeshadow on top of that, and it's not going to skip and get all messy. So I'm gonna do the other side. And be generous. You can use quite a lot when you're doing this because you really wanna make sure that it's set. So I'm literally like going crazy into it, dusting it all over. So once you've created this nice smooth base on your eyelid and set it down with some powder, now you can get into the colors that you want to use. So like I said, I'm going to stick to some really neutral colors for today just to keep it really simple for you to follow along with if you want to. The first color you want to get into is always going to be your transition shade. So whether you're doing a purple look or a green look or a blue look, you want to find whatever color you want to be your deepest color, and then a color that is lighter than that that deeper color can blend into really smoothly. So for a purple, you might use a pink, or for a red, you might use an orange or yellow, something along those lines, and it'll make that deeper color a lot easier to blend into. So in this case, as my deepest color, I want to use kind of a variation of the dark brown, maybe a tiny bit of black. I might mix them together just because I don't want to go too dark. So what I want to work with is going to be the lightest brown color in this palette. So we're going to take that color and we're going to use that same fluffy brush that has all that light color on it, because we're trying to make a really soft gradient into our skin tone. So we're going to be going from that really dark color to the softer brown to our skin tone. So you kind of want to make it a nice ombre effect almost. So we'll take that light color, get some product on there, and tap it off. Tap it. Just always tap it off, just in case. You never know. And if you don't tap it off, you might end up with a big mess all over the place. So don't say I didn't warn you. Get some of that brown on there, tap it off, and look at your eye and find the crease of your eye. Find where your eye folds and where you want to give some definition to that area. I'm going to take this eyeshadow and just start to lightly. You can tell I'm using it lightly because I'm holding the end of my brush. So when you hold the brush like this, you get a lot of pressure and you're pressing really hard. If you hold your brush further back on the handle, you have a lot more control because you're not pressing so hard with the brush. So we're lightly kind of working it into that creased area. And what that's going to do is start to define my brow bone. So it's making my brow bone look more prominent because now my brow bone is this lighter area and right underneath it is a little bit darker. So this part is pulling back and my brow bone is pulling forward. If you don't have a color that is this light brown, use your bronzer or use a contour shade or something like that, because it's going to be really easy to blend out and it's going to be the same effect of this light brown color. So I've just been using the same color just to build definition in that crease. On the outer edges here, I didn't put any extra product on my brush. I'm just kind of softly brushing out the edges so that it blends really nicely into our skin tone. So as you can see, there's quite a difference in the eye. Generally, this one just looks more awake and brighter, and this one just kind of seems to be falling flat. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and do this eye and we'll move on to the next step. So now that we have this nice effect of a soft wash of color over my eyes, I'm going to take the darker color and start to deepen it up. So now we're going to switch up our brushes, and I'm going to be using something quite a lot smaller, a little bit more dense. So you want something that is small like this, that is pretty flat, so you can get right in close to your lash line and kind of sculpt out the area. But I want you to hold on to this fluffy brush. Keep it around because you're gonna need it to soften. So the fluffy brush is gonna help soften and the smaller brush is going to help to define. So now we're gonna go into this deep brown color here. I'm just gonna start out with a really, really small amount. Because this is a lot darker and this brush is a lot smaller and more dense, it's going to pick up a lot more product and has the possibility to cause some fallout. So be careful when you're picking up the product, and I would coat it on both sides, but tap off any of the excess. And then what you're gonna do is look at your eye and look where you want to define it. So in my case, I want to lift my eye up a little bit and I want to give an effect of kind of deepening this outer corner of my eye. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna start at my outer lash line. So start to gently pat it. I'm not moving the brush back and forth. I'm just tapping it and almost dropping the product onto my eyelid. So then I'll get a little bit more and start to work it up into that lighter color. And now is when that fluffy brush is going to come in handy, because you don't want to move around this brush too much because it'll start looking messy. So take that fluffy brush and go over what you just did, and it should soften out that color. And if it's not quite softened enough, you can go back into that transition color and just go over the edges. this nice definition on my outside corner, but I still want it to be quite a bit darker. So now what I'm actually gonna do is go back and forth between the brown and the black. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of both, tap it off, and deepen that outer corner even more. And then take the fluffy brush. So when you just focus on the outer corner of your eye, you're basically lifting it up and kind of giving this effect of a lifted eye. So that's what I like to do. If your eyes are a little bit more downturned, this would work perfect for you, but always work with your eye shape. So depending on the way your eye is shaped, your eyeshadow tricks might differ. So look into what your eye shape is and try to figure out ways to balance your eye shape. So if you still find that it's not blending, always go back to that transition shade and try to soften the edges with that lightest shade. So I'm just going to do the other side to match. Another important thing you always want to do when you're doing your eyeshadow, instead of always holding your mirror really close to your face to see how it's blending together, every once in a while make sure you take a step back and make sure that everything is looking even. So when I take a step back and I look at my eyes, it looks like I went actually a little bit higher on this side, and it actually looks a little bit warmer too. So I'm just gonna make sure that I balance out the color and the shape on both eyes so I don't have one side looking droopy. The next part is really simple. All you need to do is find something shimmery, sparkly, and use that to highlight the parts of your eye that you want to bring forward. Anytime we add anything dark to our features, we draw attention away from that, or we make that appear smaller. So when we put eyeshadow on our eye, we're actually contouring our eye to make our eye appear deeper or more sultry or more lifted. So keep those things in mind when you're adding dark and light to your eye. It's really up to you, up to your personal preference and what you want your makeup to look like. So to keep it really simple, I'm going to use a highlighter. It's a perfect way to add that extra glam to your eye, and everybody has a highlighter. So if your palette doesn't have shimmers in it, or you just don't know which shimmer to use in your palette, then just grab your favorite highlighter. I'm going to be using this highlighter here from Too Faced just because I already have it on my face, so I know it'll match my look. If you want, you can use a brush or you can use your finger. What I recommend if you're going to use a brush is to get the product on your brush and then spray your brush with setting spray, or vice versa. Spray your brush first, then go into the product. Just helps to adhere the shimmer a little bit better, but I always use my finger because I just find it just goes on a lot more smoothly. So we'll take a little bit of this guy. Everywhere that you didn't put the dark, you're going to apply the light. So in this light inner corner here is where I'm going to put the shimmer. I really like to do it on the inner corner too because I just find that it looks really pretty. I need a little brush just to get into that inner corner. And also take a little bit of that and pop it onto your brow bone, and it's just going to lift that area and make it a little bit more prominent, so when it catches the light it's gonna look really pretty. Overall, it's pretty much just 3 simple steps: your transition shade, your darker shade, and blending it into that transition shade, and then a little bit of shimmer or sparkle to pull it all together. So this look easily can be completed with some mascara. So I'm just gonna put some on and show you guys what it looks like, and then I'm gonna show you what it looks like with some lashes as well to give you an idea of how lashes can really change a look. So here's the final look with just mascara. And the finished look with lashes. As you can see, lashes really do pull it all together. If you struggle with lashes, I did a whole video focused on lashes, on how to apply strip lashes and individual lashes. So if you struggle with applying them, check out that video. Depending on how big the lashes are, if you've done eyeshadow on the top, it is important to balance out that eyeshadow on the bottom. So I do recommend taking that small brush we were using before with no extra product on it and just lightly going through your bottom lashes on just the outer corner. It's not much, but it just pulls it all together. You really want to be careful when you're doing this because too much underneath the eye can make your eye look a lot smaller, and it can also cause a bit of a drooping effect. When you're doing your eyeshadow, you can always add more, but it's really hard to take away. So start really light and build up to that darker color, and I promise you it'll be a lot easier for you to blend. So if you're bored, give this a try and let me know how it goes. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching my video today. I really appreciate all of you, and I just wanted to say thank you so much to my new subscribers. I think I have 14, and like I'm just so I'm just happy. You have no idea how much that means to me, that people actually care about what I want to say. I appreciate it. The whole situation that we're in right now, I've been craving human connection, and it's really hard to be alone during this time. So give us a like and a comment and reach out to people that you love, because you just never know who's struggling. And please don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.